Even the government then, and DC government, was borrowing from some of the commercial banks at the rate of about 32%, using the road fund as collateral at the rate of 32%. When MPP came to power, we refinanced these issues, this loan, and I think at 21% with commercial bank, or I think Fidelity Bank or so. So there were issues. The numbers did not look good. So if you look at this 16-17 or 16-19 or 17-19 that he's talking about, we had done a little bit better until COVID hit. Talking about these things, we're also dealing with legacy issues. Few other issues that our friends in the power before we came in had gotten the country to. We had to pay and manage financial crisis with a tune of about 21.6 billion the last time I checked. Okay, we had to deal with take or pay energy prices of about 12 billion. Pension was not paid. There's tier 2, about 3.1 billion. I'm just basically speaking to the fact that there has been some long background to this, given where my friends started. And COVID hit.
So Mr. Chawaja, you are basically saying that the problems that we are facing now are not just born out of the situations we have seen in the past year or two, but have roots from 5 years ago?
Yes. For instance, if we didn't have to pay about 21.6 billion to resolve the financial crisis, which was so necessary to do, to about 4.6 million Ghanaians who have deposited their monies with this bank, that money alone could have supported even free senior high school for 5 years. All right? So if we didn't have to do that, we could have constructed many roads, many bridges, we could have done a lot of infrastructure.
But there were other options available. I recall people saying that, yes, it was the right action to take, but there were other ways of going about that particular operation. So yes, you can say we had to spend 21 million, but that was your decision to spend.
Those other alternatives were considered.
Okay.
They were not ignored. They were considered. And don't forget, when you give the government mandate to rule, right? And of course, decisions have consequences. We have endowed or have given MPP mandate to rule. And based on all the options open, those are the options they chose. If we fail, we will face the consequences of our decisions, right? And we're up to that. Ghanaians gave us a second mandate to go on. What happened? Because all the arguments that my friend Jinapo is advancing, they knew that we had done a little better compared to when we started. And that's why we had the second mandate. And then COVID hits. And I think I have to speak to this point from a practical point of view. And my friend Joe Jackson probably, I don't know what happened to his Fed. I also run a microfinance, probably one of the biggest microfinance in Ghana. And for almost 15 years, by June will be 15 years, employing over 300 people and 25 branches in 9 regions. For the first time in 12 years, we made losses. We made losses because the economy was basically closed down during COVID in 2020. And we are still recovering from that. So when households are affected, firms are affected, what do you think the impact is going to be on the macro? Similar effect. And that is what the country is going through. So anybody who comes around to say that there's no relationship between what is happening to us and the negative effects of COVID is just basically being economical with the truth.
But is there not a case also to be made? Because I've heard economists say, yes, we talk about growth, but an economist like Stephen Bequin says, what you've supervised is basically jobless growth. And that kind of growth cannot be considered strong because there's no money coming in. So again, you chose what to do with the money that came to you.
Okay.
And the choices you've made do not seem to have helped.
Well, I totally disagree with that. Probably he's looking at it from where he sits. Let me give you another example, practical example, right? So, and those people who say governance is all about building infrastructure, I think that is very looking at it very, very limited way. Governance is not just about looking at infrastructure. Let me give you an example. I think the treasury bill rate was about 20-25% on the NDC. MPP came in, dropped as low as what? As I think 12% or so. People had given me money as a business person. It was very difficult. When we had excess money, we put in treasury bill. But when it fell that low, there was no incentive to do that. We took that money, made a decision as a firm, took that money, created a job. People make money creating job than doing what? Than keeping it in treasury bills. So today, a company was established in 2018. All right, I don't want to advertise here, but a company was established in 2018 because of that government policy. And it employs over 170 people. So what are you talking about? Policies not creating jobs. And I'm talking from a practical point of view, all right? So the policies that were taken, even when you talk about something like NAPO, much as you look at it as social protection or social intervention, our friends call it extended national service. There was other side to the coin they didn't look at. Here you have young people, young women and men coming out of university with no jobs. Have you assessed the national security risk of these people getting into social vices that could hurt all of us? So all these are some of the contributing factors. We started from, I remember the president had met the majority caucus in Koforidua and said, listen, guys, we owe it to Ghanaians to do right for the people of Ghana. What we knew in opposition, that the crisis was XYZ, is even deeper than what we have seen. So we have to be doing things right and make sure we move this country forward. So the point I'm making is that the background of where we started was bad. No, don't forget, we are a developing country. We are fragile. We cannot compare ourselves to America in some cases, or the UKs, or the Europeans who have sustained their growth or even revenue generation for a long time. So for a long time, what have you been doing? We are managing. We are fragile. Any air could blow us off because we are not trying to make sure we sustain our growth. And there was something that my friend just said that what is happening to Ghana? Ghana must be unique or must have a unique situation. Why didn't you compare the numbers between us and you when you had the mandate? Yes, maybe Rwanda may be doing well. Ghana may be unique because we are ambitious. We want to make sure we develop faster. Cutting government expenditure is not the way to go. But yet, because of this crisis, we have to. Because government expenditure is an injector in the national income. So the point I'm making is that the causes have been there. You just didn't really see a very clear, causes of some of these issues, looking at the fact that we used to borrow, leave some of the money in our reserves, and therefore stabilize the economy by the money that we did not. If you get the money from the Eurobond, you leave some there and then use that to manage. And therefore, if you're not getting more money from borrowing from outside to stabilize the economy, you must do something different. And he made a point that I so much admire, that if you look at what is also happening to the US Treasury, it's going to affect us. We had a downgrade. That you can't deny that. People's confidence have lost. So the best way you can prove to the world that you are capable of dealing with your own issues is to begin to look internally. Let's look at internally what we can do for ourselves before we even consider going to IMF or anywhere else. Because if you're not able to show the investor community that you are capable of generating funds locally to even support your own budget, then you have a problem. And who's going to entrust money to you? And so what happens? The government responds, it's okay, we have had COVID. Let's get out. Borrowing has become expensive. You will not deny the fact that MPP government has borrowed in terms of amount bigger than the NDC. But in terms of the running rate of borrowing, if the baton was in NDC's hand, we will be in trillions. Because their running rate, and at this morning I was talking somewhere, NDC borrowing running rate is like cola or Usain Bolt. Okay, in terms of the rate of borrowing. But of course, to whom much is given, much is expected. To whom much more is given, much more is expected. We had over 1 million votes higher than NDC coming into 2017. So we had to do a little bit more to sustain, to pick ourselves from from the mess and begin to walk, and COVID hit. And now today we have Ukraine. So now levy is going to help us. It's not the solution to everything. No. After how much is it? It's probably $1 billion. $1 billion Ghana dollars. And then what are we saying? Our friends in opposition are saying, we will not support you. If you think that levy is going to kill us, why don't you allow us to go so that we are killed and you take over? Why?
But what's stopping? But what's stopping the majority from presenting the levy in Parliament? Nobody has stopped you.
Of course, there are dynamics. I believe at the right time, the leadership will present. No.
It's okay.
And let's face fact. Jim Jackson makes a good point that I so much admire him for that point that he made. That it is time for consensus.
Mm-hmm.
It is time for consensus. Why are we so divided? What are we doing? Are we choosing our partisan interests over the national development? If you think levy is going to kill Ghanaians, let MPP go and die.
But
support it. So you can now go. My friend did a press conference. Honorable John Jinako. He did a press conference. I think yesterday or the day before yesterday, saying that government should step up and support Ghanaians. The response has delayed. Where are you rushing to? You go upstream and destroy the waters and come downstream and say, who goes up? Who mess up the water? You are not supporting yet. When price of fuel is increasing, you are calling on the government that is so broke to come and help Ghanaians. That, to me, is quite insensitive. You're basically laughing at us. Those of us who run businesses, Ghanaians who are suffering. Because at one point in time, you are not supporting the government's agenda, even if that is going to lead the government into opposition. You must be praying that let levy go kill them, and we will come to power. So I believe that these causes are factual. The solutions are there in the short term. We have to cut expenditure and do it carefully. We have to make sure that we spend efficiently. We have to look for opportunities to increase or mobilize more revenue. And we have to make sure that we ultimately, in the long run, are able to build a country that is beyond aid, where we actually eat what we produce, sleep what we produce, drive what we produce, employ what we produce, and export what we produce, and ultimately patronize Ghana. That is the long-term solution. Until we do that, if you continue to depend, so the Chinese go for a New Year's holiday, and what happens to us? The supply chain is broken. There's shortage, right? We depend on foreign money, and if the money is not coming, we can't sustain our dollar.